I was laid off at the end of 2022 in the beginning of the big tech downturn. I was laid off from a director role position and have struggled to find a permanent role ever since. I've come close several times to landing great full-time positions, coming to the final interviews and even meeting with a few CEOs. But luck would have it that I wasn't chosen. Since then, I've been working in contractor roles in hopes of landing the next full-time role. Going into the summer of 2024, my kids were looking forward to a great summer, and I still hadn't found the work that I so desperately needed. I was worried. How was I going to liven up the atmosphere at home and enjoy the summertime with my kids? I was worried, but I'm about to show you how I turned it into one of the most unforgettable adventures of my life. From thrilling rides at Hershey Park to uncovering the secrets of the Smithsonian museums and chowing down on some iconic eats, I found the perfect escape just within miles of home. These weren't just fun activities, they were moments that made me face my fears, laugh until I cried, savor delicious food, and most importantly, create amazing memories with my family. Want to see how I turned a tough summer into a blast? Stick around because you won't want to miss what's coming next. First, we headed north to the plush farmlands of Hershey, Pennsylvania. The community was created as a model town for the workers at Milton Hershey's chocolate factory. It is also the home of Hershey Park, a fun-filled, family-centered theme park in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Hershey Park is only a 2-hour drive from where we live in Maryland. There are thrilling roller coasters, kid-friendly coasters and rides, a water park, a zoo, and a lot of good food, especially anything that has to do with Hershey's chocolate. Let me tell you 3 reasons why Hershey Park kick-started my amazing summer. Number 1. The roller coasters are amazing and famous among coaster enthusiasts. My favorite is Wildcat's Revenge, a thrilling hybrid coaster. I seriously could not stop laughing the entire ride. It was crazy. That ride alone made the whole trip worth it. Whee! Number 2. Chocolate World is free entry and sells the freshest Hershey chocolate in the world. They sell all types of Hershey products, even some that have yet to be released to the general public. There is a family-oriented dark ride inside that offers a chocolate factory tour. The ride is a dark ride similar to the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland in the Magic Kingdom. It feels like you've stepped into a real-life world of Willy Wonka. And number 3, it's not that expensive. A one-day park pass is $60. Parking is $25, and an all-day all-you-can-drink pass is $25. Special discounts are offered throughout the year, so it could even be cheaper. And no park day reservations were needed, like some other theme parks we know of, right, Mickey? Our next stop on our summer tour took us to Washington, D.C. We took the metro into Washington, D.C. There are 17 Smithsonian museums, including 11 on the National Mall and 3 in nearby neighborhoods in Washington, D.C. Did you think there was only one? I know! So did I before we moved to Maryland. And get this, admission is free. This summer, we explored the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History, the Smithsonian Museum of American History, and the United States Botanic Garden. We also visited the U.S. Capitol Building, the U.S. Supreme Court, the U.S. Library of Congress, the Washington Monument, the World War II Memorial, and the Lincoln Memorial. 20,000 steps. Absolutely crazy, but yes, that's normal if you're thinking about Washington, D.C. And we were seriously only in the American History Museum for 30 minutes. Crazy. 20,000 steps. In the United States Botanic Garden, we were welcomed to a tropical rainforest in a glass-encased building. We saw plant life from deserts in the Mediterranean. In the Museum of Natural History, we spent 2 hours, including lunch, checking out the Hope Diamond, exploring all the different dinosaur fossils, including a giant T-Rex, Triceratops, Stegosaurus, and a Brontosaurus. Like I said, we only spent 30 minutes inside of the Museum of American History, but that gave us enough time to check out the actual Star-Spangled Banner. Yes, the actual flag that flew on top of Fort McHenry when Francis Scott Key wrote his famous poem that later turned into the national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. That flag is on display in the museum, the Smithsonian Museum of American History. Then we quickly went over to the pop culture exhibit. There they have C-3PO and R2-D2, the actual screen-used droids from Star Wars film. We saw some screen-used props from Jurassic Park. The cape that Rocky wore into the ring that said the Italian Stallion. This was also screen-used. We saw Joe Louis's actual boxing gloves. We saw screen-used ruby slippers that Dorothy wore in The Wizard of Oz. And we saw actual Sesame Street and Muppets figures on display. As well as we saw actually worn shoes by Mr. Rogers. The monuments and iconic buildings are immaculate and give you a sense that you're not in the US, like that you're in Europe, like Italy or Greece, because of the beautiful architecture. Lastly, to spice up our summer, we ate delicious local Maryland food. We only went out once per month, but we chose carefully to make sure the experience was meaningful, like with a beautiful view or iconic food from somewhere distant. We went to the Broken Oar, where I, of course, ordered fish and chips. The Broken Oar offers panoramic waterfront views of beautiful Nabbs Creek and is about 30 minutes from downtown Baltimore. Next, we enjoyed Ginza Sushi, which is one of our favorites locally. It's one of our favorite restaurants because it reminds us of the time we lived in Japan. And of course, it's very Americanized with all the different rolls, but they are delicious. Our favorite is the Severna Park roll. Lastly, just before the boys went back to school, we went to the newly opened Primanti Brothers just outside of Baltimore. Primanti Brothers is a iconic eats from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. In 2020, when not so many shops were open out in the world, I watched this shop on YouTube quite a bit. And I really wanted to travel to Pittsburgh just to eat their burgers and sandwiches. If you don't know, Primanti Brothers is famous for using different types of bread, having all sorts of burgers and sandwiches, but they always put fries and coleslaw on the burger, on the sandwich, which I absolutely loved. So yeah, we didn't have a lot of money going into the summer, and I was still worried throughout the summer about finding work. But with the people I love and some creative thinking and maximizing money, we experienced amazing views, thrilling rides, educational exhibits, delicious foods, and most of all, built some priceless memories with my family and friends. We didn't have to fly. We didn't have to stay in a fancy hotel, or any hotel for that matter. I'm going to continue to explore ways to elevate us all, especially when things are not just going the way we wish they would. Thank you for watching.